Friends, thanks for coming on, for watching the recording. It's coding time. Oop, my screen just glitched. This is fine. Hey folks, I'm Josh Goldberg. You're probably watching on YouTube right now, so thank you for checking in. I'm a full-time open source maintainer in the TypeScript ecosystem. I work on projects like typescript-eslint. Camera's a little off. There we go. Feel free to reach out to me on any of the social media things. I'm on all sorts of stuff as Joshua K. Goldberg. Today I'm going to be streaming, let's see what I said I'd be doing. Got some notifications and pull requests and such to review on typescript-eslint. Then, very exciting, I've been talking with a couple of Vercel folks, really one Vercel folk who then talked to others. So Anthony Shu might show up. Very excited. I accidentally just showed the DM. That's not good. I'll have to blur that out in the recording. But anyway, nothing embarrassing there. Just excitement. The Vercel create next app preset doesn't enable the typescript-eslint recommended rules. So I've been working with the Vercel folks on seeing if I can get that enabled. But anyway, first up, I'm going to say, look at my GitHub notifications because I saw a lot of random stuff go in. Let's get started. Boop. So what I do is I just open them all in a new tab. Hooray. And then go from the start. So let's look at this issue. Just seeing if I need to do anything here. We've got accepting PRs. There was a bit of discussion. Someone created a PR and 3 hours ago and then closed it. So never mind. Nothing to do there. I'm not even going to post on social media. Cool. So let's see. We got, oh boy, this is a fun one. So typescript-eslint, we just released the v6 last week. Very excited about that. It's a big overhaul of the preset recommended configs in typescript-eslint. We went from 3, which didn't really capture the nuances of how people try to use us, up to 6, 2 of which you typically enable at a time. Recommended, or with type checking, versus strict, or with type checking. And then also if you want a stylistic rule set. So pick 1 of column A, 2 of column B. Or I guess in this view, it's rows A, rows B. So that's fun. We also had a bunch of breaking changes on top of that breaking change, such as dropping support for Node 12 and 14. So first we dropped support for Node 12, and then the major took so long to come out that we also dropped Node 14. Yeah, so it turns out this has actually caused a lot of pain for some people, because their code can no longer find module typescript-eslint utils. I'm just going to post a link to the issue here. And the root of the issue is so the people are doing workarounds that we don't like. The root of the issue is that we dropped support for Node 14's module resolution algorithms. Where was it? Here we go. Oh, looks like this one was fixed by Brad. So, oh yeah, it turns out one specific file wasn't included. Okay, so that's actually not what I'm thinking about. But where is it? I knew that there was something. Here we go. This is the real issue. That okay, so you can no longer use Node 10 style module resolution, which, fun fact, is the default for module resolution Node in your TS config. So now the workaround is to do compiler options module resolution Node 16. Unfortunately, looks like people are looks like people are filing issues elsewhere. And then in Node for Vercel, oh boy, Vercel Next.js doesn't yet support Node Next module resolution. Isn't that fun? So it's been like this since March, so that's great. So I'm just triaging at this moment. So I'm gonna just post this on social media because I'm actually doing stuff here. Issue, really, comment, triage, downstream pane from typescript-eslint v6, dropping support for Node 10 style package imports. v6. Let's see. What So there was a PR sent to Next.js on May 25th that supports Node Next module resolution. So that's, ooh, look at all those exports that they do. Love it. So it's failing. So that's great. Lots of discussion, lots of discussion. So it seems like people are not able to use module resolution Node 16 or Node Next in Next.js, which is a fault on the Vercel side. And by fault, I of course mean one of the bajillion things that ends up happening when you're dealing with node resolution, and is totally reasonable and natural to have happen. You can see from this absurd chain of shenanigans that plenty of people are hit by this. Lots of packages. TSC can't resolve types for GOT13 is another example of this same issue. Singerosaurus is saying the same thing. GOT is a default export. You need Node 16 or Node Next should also work. Oh boy, module resolution bundler. Man, people really need to stop using module resolution. Node 10, aka Node in TypeScript. It's really really not great. Okay, people posting patch package to play with the package. So really the issue is just that Vercel needs to get Next.js to support module resolution. So that's not great. Either we go back on the change, which just punts the pane down until a time where it might be a lot lower, or we get this shipped. Because it seems like it's just Next.js people who are having an issue. I guess I could take this up internally or just with the other maintainers. I really don't want to add support for something old. Apparently, Next.js doesn't support module resolution bundler, which is like the TypeScript module resolution setting that should work for this. So why aren't they doing that? Are or are not? Also, if anyone in the chat has hit this pane or has any input, please let me know. Whoops. This is not an area I particularly enjoy playing in, and I don't want to be stuck here for too long. Let's see. So apparently it was completed by this PR, which looks like it was merged. So for specifically Next.js projects, looks like they have a pending PR that not have been for module resolution bundler here. What is Next.js? When is it last released a new version? That's not it Next? Yeah, it's Next, not Next.js. All right. Canary. 13.4.10. That was published on the 14th. So that's on Canary. So are they gonna ship this anytime soon? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. In theory, Bundler, this is what I'm saying is true. Bundler is the appropriate, what is it called? Module resolution strategy for Next.js projects as they are built with a bundler. Does that work for you? Actually, I can just verify this locally. So I'm gonna pnpx create next app module resolution next. Yes, I do want to use TypeScript, blah, blah, blah. dsconfig.json, module resolution. So this should really be bundler, not node. npmi, npm tsc. Okay, so if I add in a something that doesn't exist, just making sure tsc still works. All right, wat.ts, wat equals wat. Did you mean to import wat? Okay, so is there anything blocking you from using that? So really, what we should do is ask on the Vercel Next.js side to use module resolution bundler by default. And apparently they have a linear that I don't have access to. That's funny. So module resolution bundler. Oh, here we go. Awesome. And commented 3 weeks ago. Resolution bundler. Great. So this should fix things for us quite nicely. Merged. Oh my gosh, 3 hours ago. Look at you. Chrissy! Seabed, how's it going? Good to see you here. Edit. And they merged a change to using that by default a few hours ago. Timely. Awesome. So I'm pleased about this. And this comment for why Next.js and other bundled apps should use module resolution bundler. Great. So I'm happy. Let's move on to something else. Okay. Let me just make sure that my open tabs are about this. Okay. Cool. So next up, let's look at this issue. I see the OP posted, so I'll remove the awaiting response flag. So this is issue triage. That was a fun little dive into module resolution. Props to the Next.js folks for happy to see updating module resolution default to bundler. Next, more issue triage. Boop. 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 Doing a lot with Vercel today. All right. Docs, clarification, and configuration. So this nice individual, Marek, I believe I'm saying that name. I've seen them before. They were confused about the new configurations, or more precisely, which configurations are subsets of others. We do actually, I'm gonna undo my zoom. We do actually have deep explanations then. How about something like strict? So what they were confused about is on the, on the configs page. Type-eslint, linting configs, this specific page. And then they're saying it's not clear just from reading this section that these are supersets of. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Agreed. Though I wish people always read the docs in full. Although I wish people always read the docs in full, you're right that many don't. Accepting a PR to slightly, to add just a bit to the descriptions in those 6 list items. Cool. Accepting and good first issue. Amused. All right, that was easy. Another fun one. Same person. Thank you, Mark. So they're pointing out that we have a rule called no unnecessary condition, and that the docs could be made a little more clear. Love to see it. I believe I've checked for their having a Twitter recently and not seen it. So in no unnecessary condition, it unfortunately triggers the TypeScript shenanigan that TypeScript doesn't recognize narrowing inside functions. Like here in this code, there's no way for TypeScript to know that checked value is ever set to anything other than false. It doesn't know whether such a thing is possible. Error, checked value is always falsy. And this is like a really, I don't know, common issue with TypeScript, because TypeScript does not narrow the types of variables. Where is there? Here we go. We have like a bunch of duplicates. TypeScript has like a whole bunch of issues. In fact, I might have written an article about this on the Learning TypeScript site. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah, I actually wrote an article. So I can link to that in these sites. Yeah. Docs unclear about... No, I'll just file a new issue for this one. Docs. Add common case explanation to no unnecessary condition. So that's affecting this rule, following, and it's a trail of duplicate issues. Marek is right that this add common explanation of common scope woos, common narrowing. Here we go. Many users get tripped up by the rules exposing TypeScript's lack of narrowing. Confusing nuances around type narrowing. Affected URLs. +1, 2 for mentioning this in the rules docs. a couple of notes. I wrote an article explaining it here. No worries if you don't like that explanation. This makes sense to me as maybe a tip, notes, etc. somewhere in the rule doc page. Shrug. Not too opinionated. Opinionated. Ooh, that's hard to spell. Expand lifts. Open source is the way to go. I agree. How you doing? Thanks for coming on. Good first issue. All right. +1 makes sense. Filed to track it specifically so that this one still shows up for other folks using $. They call you Mr. Closed Source? That's not good. I wouldn't want to be called that. I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I have a friend who I was talking to recently who lifts a lot. I'm wondering if it's you. Anyway. Yay, so filed an issue. I'll just go ahead and post it. Filed a standalone docs issue. Expand lifts. Do you do anything with open source? Any fun shenanigans in this space? You have no finished projects. Who does? Finishing a project. What is this idea? Thanks for pushing on this. Alright. Cool. Next up. Alright, so. Ooh. That's fun. Next up, we have no array delete. Awesome. So we had an issue filed a while ago, about a year and a half ago, saying, hey, it would be nice if you had a rule that flagged the delete operator on arrays, because the delete operator is confusing on arrays. It actually leaves a hole in the array, does not change the length. And linking errors. Oh no. What do you mean by linking errors? Like you're trying to npm link or pnpm yarn link, etc.? Oh, or do you mean a language like C++ where you have to manually do a lot of stuff? Oh, what language? I used to... Oh, there it is. Yeah. I learned C++ for a while in college, and that was one of the biggest pain in the butts. I don't envy you. Don't envy you at all. All right, so this PR was created in October, it kind of floated for a bit, and now we've got reviews. All right, so I posted a review yesterday. Looks great, very close to merge. I remember this now. I left a few suggestions. Okay, so they'll just apply things soon. I don't know what this. Oh, this path, like they're like a bunch of hidden comments here. Amused. On the bright side, not knowing how something works is often remedied by having to struggle with things that are getting in the way, right? So that's fun. I hope you learned some nice things without experiencing too much pain. All right. Next up, another rule that has been floating around for a bit. Create prefer at. So there's a new array feature in JavaScript. You can use array.at and pass in a number, which can potentially be negative. And that's nice because at -1 is a cleaner equivalent to array.length -1. Love it. So I filed this issue. Now your header files only contain function definitions. Implementation is separate. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. That's like the C++ standard, right? Header says what's going to happen at the high level, and then the .c or cpp or whatnot files actually do those things. All right. lots of discussion in the rule issue request, so I'm just going to look at the PR now. 6411. Oh yeah, so here's a fun thing. Sviat and I were shouting at each other, can you please post, or can you please respond? Turns out there were pending comments that I couldn't see, so that's why. Alright, so... Oh no, did I fork the... God dang it. Whatever. Reviewing a PR again. This one looks juicy. This does look juicy. Is Fiat on the Twitter? They're Russian, duh. Guess not. Oh well. Boop. Boop. Alright. So, actual code review now. Yay. Oh yeah, it just writes the code twice and throws an error. Yeah, that's always been one of the annoying parts of C++ for me, that you can just accidentally include things a bajillion times. Very irksome. Alrighty. Whoop. Get out of here. Twitch. Stream manager. Okay, so we got the rule. PHPR checkout 6411. Learning the hard way. Better than not learning at all. That's cool. Any particular reason? Just to learn UI things? Ooh, Windows. I used to be a Windows guy. Alright, back to this. So, prefer at, looks like all their progress is done. We had a bunch of comments from a while ago that are only now fully visible. Is expected expression left? First of all, this is a confusing name to me because what does expected mean? Alright, so I'm just gonna start a comment here. Naming this, the naming convention of is expected star is I'm finding it hard to read the code with the naming of is expected. It's a little vague. What does expected mean? Until you fully understand the code intent, that can be hard to determine. Yeah, that's one of the nice things about open source, X-Man, that you never know. Something you don't want to do, someone else will do. It's nice. What do you think about renaming them to more explicitly say what they do? E.g., instead of is expected expression is... What is this actually checking for? Checking if it's... well, if it's got a right and if it's got a left. Okay. Alright. Is array length based lookup? Something like that, maybe? Anyway. Going back to a... is expected expression left. So they're checking whether the node's left is length. So prefer at .test.ts.length. So they're checking if let's go to the errors section. Oh, I forgot to post this PR to the chat. Whoops. Yeah, I don't really know how any of the UI stuff in Mac or Windows works. So good luck with that. Here we go. Yeah. So this is kind of the canonical example of what this rule is meant to catch. You check string of string.length -1, and then it fixes to string.at -1. I just realized we need to I just remembered .at's signature returns T or undefined. That's a breaking type change. That's a change from the original type of T from lookups. So this should be a suggestion fixer. We generally put anything that can break the build into suggestion fixers rather than direct fixers. All right. Cool. So last item is strings length. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to check for a very common case. Packages ESLint plugin, yarn jest, prefer at watch. So one a really common thing that trips up rules is they assume that properties looked up as as static, just like dot lookups. But here we see an example where if someone does something like quote length, then the rule does not detect it because it only looks for this get name result, and get name is manually written. A couple of missing test cases. It would catch cases like this. Behaviorally, it would catch cases like this. Const key equals length, stir key. And let me actually just verify that that's the case. Const key equals length. Yeah, I don't recommend C++ as like a language for beginners. Every language is workable as a beginner language. I like learning fundamentals of programming that are language agnostic first, and C++ involves learning a lot of details like linking. So it works, but I prefer like Python, JavaScript, etc. C# even. And let's see, instead of get name, I'm suggesting using get static value from util, which returns dot value. And would this actually work for it? Heh. What does util get static value do? What? Util, yes, util get static value. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it can like figure out keys. It should help catch cases like this. So let me just, for code, get name. It would eliminate the need to manually write a function get name, which is something a lot of our rules end up needing. I think. So we'd really rather not write explicit what is the string name of this property logic repeatedly without a real need. If you're already familiar with pointers in memory, then yeah, C++ makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, are you familiar with Rust? I personally haven't written any Rust beyond like the occasional Hello World type stuff. So I've just heard a lot of really good things about it. Cool. All right, so the context, you've heard of it but never written it? Almost the same for me. Yep. Example of where the utility will help me. Fixed. Fix. All right, so yeah, it looks like mostly it was just Sviat was waiting for my. Also, for anybody seeing just this thread and wondering why we're bumping at each other with no other joy, the comments were pending. Do I think it's harder than C++ or just different? I don't know. I haven't written C++ in years. Haven't written more than trivial Rust ever. Can't answer, but I know it's popular, so good luck. At this point, I don't think it really matters too much which language you're writing, as long as you're writing some language and learning a lot. And then eventually, if you more directly identify the stuff you want to do, then, maybe switch language to something that he's better for it, but anything is good. All right, so anyway, I'm pleased with this review. Progress. So that makes me happy. Just making sure I did post this one. Yep. All right. Next up. All right. Ooh. Structure of code is a good thing to focus on. So this is going to be fun. Do I really have no more notifications? Surely I have like typescript-eslint issues to look at or something. Oh boy, so many things triaged. Someone says that I knew there was something that I must have like clicked the notification then went away. Issue triage time. I don't recognize this person. Abraham Guo, no link. Moving on to another issue triage that I'd missed in my notifications. Boop. Boop. And boop. When installing ESM plugin 610 and importing it to a TS file, which causes it to be type checked, rules DTS throws the following TypeScript error with the latest version of TypeScript 5.16. This is using the following tsconfig.json, allows synthetic development forks, module resolution no text, and targets. Why are you putting your repro in a zip? I guess if they don't have a standalone. I'd suggest making a standalone repository, like with a branch for repros. I have one that's repros. The nice thing about people finding bugs in your code is if they don't matter to you, you don't have to fix them, and sometimes people will send PRs. All right. That way, maintainers don't have to awkwardly unzip a potentially dangerous zip file. Trust you. But it's easier for us. Online link is easier for us. Alright, so we got this repro.zip. Let's see what Max says inside of it. I'm just going to unzip it because... Hi. So they just have an index and a package JSON. Okay. So dir repro temp code repro temp. Let's move this stuff over. Boop. Okay, bye. tsconfig and package JSON. My G TypeScript. I guess I'm surprised I don't have TypeScript installed globally. An export assignment cannot be used in a module with other exported elements. What is this saying? Okay. Interesting. And if you turn on skip lib check, this gets rid of the error, right? So this is fun. All right, so they haven't read the full file. A few things going on here. First, we generally don't recommend folks first, you can get around this issue with skip lib check. True. In your TS config. I'm just gonna copy and paste. Skip lib check. True. So they're importing from just the plugin. So actually, it's fine that rules DTS is getting type checked. Normally, I'd say, oh, if you're importing rules, don't, because it's not supposed to be type checked. But actually, that's fine because they are not importing rules. They're just importing the module as a whole. So they're interesting. So the module is doing something weird. If we go to rules.ts, packages, eslint plugin, rules ts. What? Source rules ts? Next.js? Do we even, how did this rules DTS thing get generated? There's no rules. What? How does this get made? Clear. Is this like an artifact or something? Where does this come from? What? Where does... What? Oh, you know, I might be on an old branch. Oh, reset hard head. Clear, get pulled. Check out main. Okay. Here we go. Rules DTS. Okay. So this was added by Brad and one of the other maintainers in v6 when we added package JSON export support for public packages. All right. So what does the rules file actually look like? Is there like an index file? Next.js. What is happening? All right, so we have an index.js, which we have alongside this. Source index. Is there a rules index file? Here we go. So this DTS is actually representing this rules. Nope, that's not indent. Index. So the actual export is export default. So if I fix that and then yarn locally, which includes an install and build, then that should... XDC, it's been a little bit. I'm good. Thanks for coming on. How are you doing? Dang, VS Code getting in my way. Just working on some stuff locally. So yeah, it looks like we could probably switch this from an export equals rules to an export default. So that's nice. Interesting. A few things going on here. That being said, it looks like we could probably fix up that rules.dts file locally to use an export default instead of export equal. The source rules index.ts file it seems to be based on is based on uses an export default. So yarn type check, yarn lint, everything seems to be working all right. Yeah, I'm not sure. It seems fine to me. Let's just wait for this ESLint plugin to run. So if we export default here, I would want to CC Brad Zacher just to confirm as the file's author, just to confirm. Cool. Yeah, looks good. So all right, stay in triage. Looks good. Great. So thus concludes the. Actually, wait. Before I say that, I have a bookmark for. Okay. Yeah. Nothing. Ooh, wait. There's a couple of things to triage. Oh boy. I'm in my mind just excluding stuff that I'm not the author of, or I don't just on my head know is ready. Alright, enhancement add type for data of report. Okay, yeah, this one Brad was talking about. Name we can mention Brad was talking. Let's see. Yep. Alright, don't mind me. I'm just gonna mark this accepting PRs. Boop boop boop. Josh was talking on this one. Alright. So yeah, nothing for me to quickly do now. I'm now going to start on the thing I'm really excited about, which is contributing something to Next.js. That something might be code or a discussion. Who knows? So let's start that. On to the good stuff. Contributing something around typescript-eslint's recommended rule presets to Next.js. PR4. Alright. Let's go, and I'll explain what's going on too. Boop. I have been juiced about this discussion for quite some time. Next.js has this lovely little create next app shindig that you can run. So if you run npx, pnpx, whatever, create next step, let's call it temp delete. Layla Fernandez, hello. Thanks for coming on. How's it going? And I want to use TypeScript. Let's just say yes to all these things. And go. And go. All right. Code temp delete. Layla, are you? First of all, you're a tennis player? Why do I know this? Anyway, second of all, I don't work with Electron. Sorry, I've contributed occasionally to VS Code, which I stayed away from the Electron bits of, but I don't really like working in native code, and Electron's too close to that for my preferences. Why, are you interested in Electron things? But yeah, so right now, when you create a new Next.js repo or app or whatever you want to call it with create next app using TypeScript, yeah, Electron's pretty cool. When you create a new next app with TypeScript, although inside it uses the typescript-eslint parser for linting. It doesn't actually extend our recommended rule sets. So if you do npx eslint print config into the rules JSON, just to see what rules get enabled, it's really not that many rules get enabled from typescript-eslint. In fact, I don't think any right now. Yeah. So that's a problem, because this means that people who create a new Next.js app, they're not getting the benefit of all the recommended TypeScript-eslint rules, which we definitely recommend people do get the benefit of. So for context, TypeScript-eslint.io, which is the tooling that lets you lint and format TypeScript code with eslint pretty respectively, we have a whole getting started guide on, where is it? Linting with type information and monorepo configs and all this. That includes our recommended configs documentation for those. So I posted this in May of 2022. I pinged Anthony Shu, who's a great person. Anthony, if you're here, hello. And now they're interested. So I'm happy about this. So for reference, the Next.js team has been super swamped the last few years. They've got React server components and next, whatever the latest version is, and React 18 and all this stuff that's been on their plate. So I don't begrudge them a large issue tracker where not everything has been triaged, especially since this isn't actually a bug. It says you could do better for this. So such is life. But now that they have said, okay, yeah, we could look into this, what I'm going to do is, let's see. I'm going to make or draft up a PR into the Next.js code base, which I've conveniently already set up locally. Whee! And I'm going to show off like how one would enable this stuff. What I want to do is change their ESLint config next preset to include TypeScript-eslint's recommended rules for TypeScript code. Ooh, hi Rufus and Toofus. That's a great name. 001. You recently started learning coding. How do I move ahead? Ooh, my general recommendation for people is a few things. One, practice your fundamentals. If you've started in any particular language, then check out how that language works. Two, projects are great. I always try to work on a few projects. My default when I start a new language or learn to code is like a chess game or checkers or tic-tac-toe, whatever complexity level you feel comfortable with. And three is try a few different resources, whether you're trying, I don't know, Codecademy or Free Code Camp or a boot camp. Find what works for you. Everyone's a little different. So if you can chat a little bit more about what you've done so far, would love to know. Anyway, cool. So just starting off from a new repo, I'm actually just going to make the same thing again. Temp next app with TypeScript, blah, blah, blah. Code temp next app. And here we go. So right now the ESLintRC just says extends next core web vitals. So I want to know where in Next.js do they actually create this? Aha. So I see there are a few things here. Let's see. So we have some docs pages, which is titled ESLint. So I'm going to have to change this. So I'll just put a... I don't know. Put a section for TypeScript. To do Josh explain. Boop. Alright, so we have a couple of examples. We don't really need to fill this stuff out, I don't think. Are these examples TypeScript code? Oh, they are. So I will want to fill these out because these examples are TypeScript. But what I see here is that we have create next app, templates, app, and then JSTS app, tailwind JSTS, default JS. So it looks like they're creating a template file in create next app for each possible ESLint configs thing that you could want in any template. And in all of them, it's eslintrc.json. So that's fun. So if I look up eslintrc.json, just as a case-sensitive thing, in TS and TSF, actually just TS files, and if I exclude test files, I'm betting I can find where they create this, and aha, nice. The first one, copy the template files to the target directory. So we're initializing project with template. This is in the create next app package, so the templating logic using whatever package manager. If I go to type definition, I bet that's like, here we go, package manager, which is npm or pnpm or yarn. Cool. Yeah, all right. Don't care. All right, so if we, so if not ESLint, so I'm guessing if they haven't specified ESLint explicitly, so I'm guessing it defaults to false, we do copy ESLint rc.json. So we're literally just calling copy, which is the popular npm package copy. So it just literally it just copies ESLint rc.json. Awesome. So the change I want to make is for specifically TypeScript people. I want to not just extend Next Core Web Vitals, but also extend plugin TypeScript ESLint recommended type checked. Yes. 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 There's probably a way to automate this, but you know what? This is fine. Oop. And this one also had root true. So, okay. Whatever. Oop. I don't know why that one only had root true, but this is fine. What'd you get from the corner store? No worries. I used to live in Brooklyn and Bushwick, and we just had multiple corner stores I could just walk to and get like a bacon, egg, and cheese or Coke or whatever, and I miss that. Now I'm in South Philly, like a half mile from the nearest coffee shop. There are a couple corner stores near me, but it's not as close as it used to be. It used to be literally on my block. Mango and Venom. Wow, that's intense. Good for you. I actually made myself a matcha latte earlier for the first time. I've had an espresso machine and milk frother for ages. I just never got around to using the matcha. Yeah. Good stuff. All right, so this is this change was surprisingly quick. So I'm pretty sure it was pretty good. It wasn't as matcha-y as I thought it would be. So I'm gonna tomorrow try another one with more powder. Yeah, I like the taste of energy drinks, but I also really like coffee. So such is life. Been making my spouse a lot of chai teas lately. Okay, so PNPM build is going well. I also know that the Next.js ESLint plugin does some fancy stuff. And there is another piece of config we're going to have to do for TypeScript ESLint recommended type checked. So buckle up, folks. We've got more shenanigans to work on. Let's get this unrelated thing out of here. So, TypeScript ESLint. In our Getting Started guide, we note that we have a recommended preset. But we also separately have type checked rules. Do they have caffeine-free versions of like Mango Venom? Because I do really like the taste. Oh man, my eyebrow's twitching. That's not good. So we have recommended type check rules, but you need to configure the project setting. And this is because ESLint rules that use the power of TypeScript's type checking, which by default they don't. Oh no, Mango? Sorry to hear that. Starting over. The ability to add type information to a rule to let a lint rule use TypeScript's type information to make deductions is great, but requires knowing your TypeScript compiler options. And that's something that, well, could be tricky. So we recently added, within the last year or two, this project true instead of forcing you to explicitly write the path or array of paths for your TS configs. But that's something you have to do yourself. It's not there by default. So actually, oh, here we go. So in your ESLint config next, or equivalent to anyone who's making a bundled ESLint config, or just in any ESLint config, the place where you specify the stuff for your TS files, you should put parser options project true. Project true. Now we'll also note ECMAScript features JSX true. You don't actually need to do in typescript-eslint, so I'm going to remove that. JSX, although the override defaults to false, by default files will allow JSX if they're in like a .tsx extension, so I don't know why this is on. Similarly, we have this warn on unsupported TypeScript version option, but it defaults to true, so there's no need to set it here. So I'm curious why those are there. All right. And, oh man, my eyes really acting up. Cool. So, config next. We got all these rules. All right. So here's a fun thing. The module overrides that ESLint config next do are fun. Nick Codes, welcome. Good to see you again. How's it going? So ESLint, this documentation block is actually pretty good. If you have two plugins that resolve to two different locations, ESLint will complain. So you don't have duplicate different versions of a plugin. But ESLint config next, like many group ESLint configs, wants to lock them all to the defaults. But if the user then provides their own version of the dependency, then they don't want to mess with that. So what they do is they they have their own paths of dependencies, and then that's ESLint plugin import. Then also they check for these following plugins. They like override the way that node modules run by ESLint will look up these things. So require.resolve is stored in this result from mod._resolve file name. So that's cool. Anyway, you don't have to really understand these. Just know that we now add typescript-eslint plugin to this list. And I see that they have request and replacement, but also the requests are always the same as the replacements in this little array. So there's actually really no need for this. Just replacement is request. All right. So that's cool. npm build. Anyway, now separately from that eslint.rc.json, I believe I've set up the create next app package to work nicely. Separately from the preset ESLint configs that it gives to other people, Next.js, the repo, has its own linting config, which looks like a lot more manual than what a lot of folks do. So I'm also going to go in and fix up their things just while I'm here. Ooh, I like CSS. You can complete Flexbox Froggy, yet still can't put things where I want them in CSS. Any tips? Oh, geez. I wish I had tips for you on CSS. I don't know. What's bringing you pain with front-end layouts? Like, do you just need to do it more? Is there like some root pain? Some people just don't like visual stuff, or specifically don't like specific things in visual land like CSS. But I got better slowly over time. Took a while. I don't know if that's helpful to you. Anyway, so we have a lot of things that they've explicitly manually set based on the typescript-eslint rule set. So I'm just going to go ahead and have this extend from Ooh, wait, what does Copilot say? That's funny. Recommended type checked, and then stylistic type check. So in the TypeScript ESLint configs, we disable all the ESLint rules that are already handled by TS. So I'm just going to go ahead and look at our rules. So let's see. Consistent type assertions. Is this already enabled? Yep, it is. So we don't need that. No array constructor. Yep, enabled. Ooh. Don't fully understand putting the things where I want them. Perhaps there's some visual practice out there. I don't mind the visual stuff. It's a hard time building it and putting it where it needs to go. Like, you can make something look decent with CSS properties, but moving to where it needs to go is my downfall. Interesting. I'm sorry. I wish I was able to be more helpful here. It's not something I've thought about a lot. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I don't know. I treat things as components. Like in every design, I try to break it down into what are the individual granular pieces. Like just taking this table as an example, that if we were to forget that CSS tables exist, or HTML tables rather, or this page from what we see. Like this is a big page and that can be complex. But really I would break it down into the components, the header, the table. Then within each table we have, the main view of the thing, which is a display flex of just the title and then the description, or really just 2 display blocks. Oh yeah, Nate codes +1. That reproducing a lot of random sites. I've seen a lot of bootcamps do like reproduce whatever, twitter.com, the homepage, and that's a good one. No namespace. So why do they disable TypeScript ESLint no namespace? Why do they turn it to off? That's weird. I'm gonna. Oh wait, here we go. There's a PR. Any other tips from anyone in the chat? Love to hear this. Why did they turn off no namespace? It's so confusing. Namespace? So they're just declaring a namespace in one place and turning off the ESLint rule. So my strategy, which I'll eventually write a blog post for, when I onboard a repo to our recommended rules, is to just delete all their disables, and then add a to-do investigate where do we want this for any rule that is newly given complaints. So just looking at their code base, no use before define. It's not enabled in any config, so I'll add a section. These off by default rules work well for us and we want them on. Cool. So getting that into its own section. Let's see here. Let's look. No unused vars. That is enabled by default, but the default options are different. So off by default, or less, or different off, or differently configured rules work well for us. I'll just add it in the same order as it was before. Cool. Ooh, yeah, +1 to building all the HTML first. You might end up later needing to modify things around, but I try to do semantic HTML, which is actually a great point. Thanks for bringing it up. Semantically, what is the HTML, and then bending the styles to get the semantically correct HTML to work, sometimes with wrapper divs or whatnot. Love to know what you think, Nate, what your strategy is. All right, no unused expressions. Looks like, ooh, that's not on. What? This isn't on in default config? Huh. Funny. Okay. LMN, no PQRST. These are also alphabetically not in the right order. No unused expressions, no unused vars. So I'm gonna alphabetize them based on the TypeScript ESLint thing. All right. No useless constructor. Surely this one is enabled. It's enabled in strict. Let's move that down there. preferred literal enum member. Where is that? That's also a strict one. And then I think prefer namespace keyword is, okay, that's in stylistic, so we don't need to manually do it here. LMNOP. Great. Yep, basically responding to the chat. To do, investigate for each of these rules whether we want them. All right. So now that I've set it to extend from our recommended and stylistic type checked and set project true, let's run lint. This is probably gonna, oh boy. Oh, do I have, I have to bump the version to the latest. And, oh sweet Jesus, 4.2.9, they're on version 4.2.9? Jeez, we're on version 6.10 already. That's, whoo lordy, that's old. And fix up the example. Oh, they have it with temporal example, that's nifty. And oh yeah, ESLint config next now also needs ESLint plugin as dependency. So let's add the carrots there. I'm just going with whatever the package JSONs already do. Yep. All right. PNPM install and then PNPM write. Ooh, you tend to break them down a lot. What a great question. Another one that I'm like, ooh, I wonder what Nate thinks. I generally go with the single responsibility principle. The principle is not everything should have exactly one responsibility, although a lot of people interpret it that way, and that's a reasonable interpretation. The way I interpret it is things should only have one reason to change. So if you tend to lump things in together in changes, like if thing X always changes only when thing Y changes, then you can have a single component for the two of them. So yeah, like if you have a menu bar and a menu bar item, and then the items have two spans, a class logo and class text, I might make just like a menu bar and a menu bar item class if I really thought that they might be changed separately, but I think it's fine to just have a single component for that until you really hate it. So, I don't know. Oftentimes it's kind of up in the air. A lot of people like just always having one component until it becomes annoying to work with. My God, how long does it take to lint? What is this? What is it? Is this an install? What is it doing? Is this running tests? Why does it run tests on install? Or is this? No, it's running TypeScript. What did I do? TSC. What is TSEC? I don't think I've ever seen this package before. Package TSEC. What's this? Let's get you half screen. Oh, run out of memory. Yay, love to see it. All files match prettier code. PMI. What? Doesn't even have a extended TypeScript compiler. Not an officially supported Google product. Additional checks on the codebase's compatibility with trusted types. A browser API to prevent DOM-based cross-credit. What? Wow, okay. A bunch of security checks. Why didn't they just write lint rules? Google still uses TSLint internally. I wonder if that's it. Okay. This really looks to me like it should be implemented as lint rules. Whatever, Google. Hashtag it's fine. All right. So that's PNPMI. PNPM. So if I look at their lint task, they test types, lint TypeScript, which is turbo run TypeScript. I disagree with calling running TypeScript or prettier as lint, but whatever. And then lint TSLint. So that's just, I just want to run PNPM run lint ESLint. I disagree with their nomenclature, but this is fine. I'm very pedantic. Life is good. And now we wait. Boop, boo. Boop, boo, boo. So this is one of the downsides of running linting with type information enabled. It takes longer. So that's less good. Also, Next.js, the mono repo is, not a trivial one, so it might take a little while. We've actually been researching ways to and it runs out of memory. Improve this in typescript-eslint. So clearly this isn't working. So I'm just going to remove the type checked and the project option. So let's see if running it locally works better now. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to have to go in 13 minutes. I have an appointment with my psychiatrist. Hell yeah. All right, here we go. Now we're cooking with juice, with fire. All right, lots of complaints on stylistic things. So, here we go. No explicit any, off, no inferable. What I do generally is just any rule that causes a lot of complaints, I'll just turn off and put them in this this bucket of do we want this? /reference. I'm pretty sure that this wouldn't actually make sense for Next.js, but it doesn't hurt to put there. Maybe you never know. Consistent type definitions, that's like a stylistic thing. Off consistent indexed object style. Boop, 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 boop. Just going through, ban TS comments. Love to see it. Prefer const. TypeScript. A lot of no explicit any's violations. Love to see it. And that looks like most of them. Jeez, look at that. So many. What file is it? It doesn't even, I can't even scroll. Okay. So it had over 9,000 errors or reports. That's fun. I'm going to time it this time to see how long it takes. Hooray. All right. Little tip, y'all. Drink water. Water is good. I keep a nice little pitcher by my desk. Little flamingos on it. Come on, eSlint. Looks like the last PR that changed that particular line is from 2019. Cool. Files changed 1,000. Love to see it. All right, this took almost a minute. Ooh, yeah, another stylistic one. No empty function. Off. No var requires. Off. Prefer rest params. Off. It would be nice if there was a tool that just did this for me. But sometimes I'll see one and I'll think, oh, this is actually a definite value add and I do want to fix up for its complaints. Ooh, ban types. Ooh. I'm many times did banned types complain? 124. Yep, that's above my threshold for taking any action. Novar requires. I thought I turned Novar requires off. Must have just done it now. Classical property style. That's a stylistic rule. Fun. No empty function. Novar requires. Banned types. All right, let's go again. It's 108. Oh, geez. Yeah, I've been reading on the news. All sorts of things about the heat situation. Our apartment, or house rather, is nicely air conditioned, but my little office box here is the hottest place because I keep closing the door and turning on lights. So I'm sweating a little bit. Oh yeah, Vegas. Why do people colonize areas like Vegas? Or Greenland? It's too cold. Why are we there, you know? I wouldn't choose to whatever live there. I'm being stupid. Ignore me. Alright. It was cheap and isn't anymore? Oh, that's the worst. Ugh. Off. Consistent generic constructors. Another stylistic rule. Oh, look at this. Down to under 100 errors. 100 complaints. Function type. No empty interface. Huh. Also, I think it's speeding up a little bit. Is it getting faster? Ah, interesting. So this one might be a legitimate bug. Let's see here. Middleware plugins, line 468. So here's a fun little TypeScript nuance caught by the no non-null asserted optional chain rule. There we go. They're doing node source value and indicating that the value might not exist. But if it does exist, they're calling toString on it. And then they're saying, no, this definitely exists. So this is just wrong for the type system. If imported module, or rather, if node source value didn't exist, then why would you be able to call toString on it? So there's no point to these two things being together. Either the question mark is wrong and the value will always exist, or the exclamation mark is wrong, and then this import lock by path map, whatever this is, should be map of string or undefined. So one of these two things is wrong. Love to see it. So this one I'll actually just leave open, and I'll put an ESLint disable comment in the code to indicate, hey, this is definitely something wrong that the rule has caught. Yay, TypeScript ESLint. Alright. Cool. For a function type, that's just... Aha, here's a fun one. So whenever there's like a direct, like this improves your code base, I'll just fix for it. T results. Constraining something to unknown does nothing in TypeScript. There's no point to what they did there. So the lint rule found a minor equivalent of dead code in the type system. Let's see. Here's another optional change shenanigan. What line is it? 83. Either result.parsed doesn't exist, or the exclamation mark is wrong. What happens if I remove the exclamation mark? And parsed complains. So, alright. Ooh, unexpected aliasing of this to local variable. And I'll just disable that rule. That one is too nuanced for me to get into now. Do this. Prefer spread. That's like a stylistic thing. And no one used vars. I see that this is line 52. This is never actually used in this file, so there's no point to it existing here. So let's just get rid of it. No one used vars. Right now it's a warning. I really hate setting lint rules to warnings, but whatever, this is fine. Right. And no namespace, no shadow. Ooh. I'll just turn those off. prefer spread, prefer function type. Aha, no loss of precision. So, this is... Huh. So the no loss of precision rule says that, hey, if there's any number that's so big that the JavaScript one time won't support it, then won't complain. But I wonder if this is like a special case or something. I don't know. Let's find out. So if we don't have the rule enabled, this complains. No. So like if I do x equals and then just that number literal, x is going to be a little imprecise. But if I do big int thing, is it the same? Oh yeah, no, it does lose precision. Look at that. I'm adding to the number there, and the resultant big int is the same. Oh, hey, Dergreeny1987. Thank you for subscribing with Prime. I appreciate it. Thanks for the sub. Cool. All right. So looks like we're almost ready to go. I'm going to send up a draft PR before I leave because I like having visible progress. So whenever I disable a rule, I want to add a comment explaining why. So let's say the types don't we're being imprecise in the type system. Parsed key. What is result of object.keys result.parsed? Parsed might not exist. Assume parsed key can be undefined. And we got a complaint from No Shadow 565. Declare type robots equals. That's a warning that probably exists already. All right, here. Can I just? Oh, ha! The exclamation mark wasn't necessary. Node source value. Are these all? It's any. Okay, great. So that's fine. And where is it? 468. Okay, wasn't this complaining at some point? Next problem. Oh. Lol. Declared, but its value is never used. Huh, but its value is used. Disable to do file a bug. All right, so I'm running out of time. Track B, enable typescript-eslint recommended, git add all. Feats enable TypeScript-eslint recommended internally and type checked in create next app. Push u origin enable. So I'm gonna have to go. But this was an absolute pleasure, y'all. I'll post the link to this PR now. And I have merge conflicts. Love to see it. I'm gonna make a draft and post in the chat. So let's find someone to raid. Finite Singularity is going, so I'm gonna start that right now. Love it. Anyway, y'all can find me on the internet as Joshua K. Goldberg. Really, really pleased that so many folks got to see this stuff. Have a good one. Tell Finite I said hi. Bye.